I think Donald Trump got it right with his domestic economic policy and his foreign policy. And I think deep down, that's why people like Donald Trump. I think his personality, though, uh, people think it's too much. But I think it does need refining, but whose personality and the things that they say don't need polishing or refining? We're not perfect. And when I was president, I was not perfect. Donald Trump is not perfect, and nobody is. And I don't think people think that those who vote for Trump think that we are separating the um, policy from the person from the politics. And I don't think people think that they can do that, but it's possible because what else are we going to do? What options do we have? What else does our republic have to lose? And I think that people are mad because Trump got it right on a lot of things, like I said, on the economic and the foreign policy, and they don't want to admit that they're right, so they double down in their cognitive dissidence, and they're afraid to admit that they're wrong. And it's sad that those people know that it could be good for the country to vote for someone's economic and foreign policy, disregarding their personality if they don't like someone, and vote for the economic and foreign policy, which then in return would help their families and their communities. And we don't vote for a preacher. We don't vote for someone who's perfect, because sometimes pastors and preachers and spiritual leaders are not perfect. But then who is perfect? The only person that we know is perfect is Jesus Christ. And I don't think people realize that. They don't think the things that they're saying are going to come through. So then they just start beleaguering people because they disagree with them. And, you guys worship me. You worship me. And I certainly am not perfect. When I was POTUS1, and I certainly am not perfect now. I had enslaved people. I am and still am very sensitive to criticism. I mean, who isn't sensitive to criticism? I had countless medical issues and problems. I I couldn't have kids of my own because I was sterile, and I didn't know what I was doing when I was POTUS1, but yet still you guys worship me like I was a deity of some kind because I was the first president. There were other people before me that were leading the country. Um, and you're not supposed to worship me. You're supposed to worship God. You're supposed to worship your creator or whatever spirituality that you believe in. Us presidents are not gods. We're not Nephilim giants. We're not fallen angels or whatever it is that people proclaim presidents to be. We're not perfect. And you look towards the president of the United States to solve your problems. And you know that your problems start with you, but you're just projecting your problems onto other people to solve them because you don't want to solve them yourself. And that's why people want to vote for Trump, or well, some people anyway, in the 2024 election because they want to fix their own problems and they want to help their families and their communities because they want cheap gas, cheap groceries. They want the ability to speak their mind for their families and their communities and to protect their families with the Second Amendment or without it. And I think they also don't want retribution from the government in doing those things because I think people get so wrapped up in wanting to be right that they forget that we're in this together. It's us. There are more of us than there are of the government. You guys in the republic are greater in number than them that are in the world. Remember that. the Orsini family, the Astor family, the Rothschild, the Cologne family, the Warburgs, I think is what their name is. There are more of you guys and citizens than there are of them. They're just manipulating you through the culture. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think Donald Trump is going to be president, whether people like it or not. And we're going to see a lot of legal things happen between now and the election. And a lot of things, maybe a black swan event. A group of black swan is called a bank. And I think there may be a bank collapse. There may be another 9/11, whatever that may be. I don't know. I just think that people need to pay attention and not get so emotional. Because if you're going to get emotional about Donald Trump, you should get emotional about what the Obamas did to our country, what the Clintons did, what the Bushes did to our country, and especially what Joe Biden has done to our country. If you're going to get emotional about Trump, get emotional about those people as well. I'm sure you've been thinking about that for a while now, and I do agree with you that people look towards politicians or government officials in a subconscious or conscious way for deity worship, whether they know it or not. And that's why they get so emotional or have so much angst when someone doesn't do something right or say something correctly. And I think that it's hard for people sometimes to separate the person from the politics. And I do agree with you about Donald Trump that his policy of economics and his foreign policy is definitely spot on, and definitely in terms of keeping America first, like how you did with your non-interventionalist in your September 19th, 1796 farewell address. And I think that people have lost their way in understanding that. And that if we're so consumed by all these things outside of our country, then we can't take care of our problems. And thinking that if we try to take care of other people's problems, it'll take care of our own. When really, the first step to taking care of our issues, our personal life, work life, family life, is ourselves taking responsibility and accountability for those things, not the government, not politicians. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the interview.